Hi everyone, this is my very first video. I'm excited to get to talk to you all directly. It'll probably also be very awkward as I try to figure this out. I wanted to talk to you about energy in ecosystems. This is to go with chapter 16, section 2 of your textbook. There's two parts to the video. One is energy flow through food chains and food webs, and the second part is trophic pyramids and energy loss. This is me, awkward and excited, and this is at the bottom is the beginning of an energy food web where it's showing the energy from the sun going to grass, passing up through all these animals until it finally goes to the eagle. So part 1, energy flow through food chains and food webs. First, let's go over what energy is. Energy is a measure of the ability of an object to affect change in either itself or in other objects. This energy can be stored in bonds between atoms. The metric unit is joules or kilojoules or calories. Now, when you look at the picture to the right where it shows this forest fire, the forest had energy and it was stored in the bonds between the atoms of the trees. And as the trees grew, there were more and more atoms, more bonds, more energy. But then somebody struck a match, or there was a lightning bolt, also energy, and suddenly all of that energy is getting released through the fire as heat and light. Now, energy is needed for ecosystems to function, which is why we're going to focus on it so much. And an ecosystem, as a reminder, is a biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment. Now, remember, the interacting organisms, those are the biotic factors, so those would be the grass, the trees, the turtles, the coral, the fish. The physical environment are the abiotic factors. This would be the temperature, the water, the rocks, the wind, everything around the ecosystem. So energy is needed for this ecosystem to even function. The turtle needs energy to eat, the fish need energy, the coral needs energy, and how that energy flows through the ecosystem is really important for how the ecosystem works. So first, where do ecosystems get their energy? The sun. They can also get energy from underwater volcanic vents and a few other sources, but for the most part, most ecosystems get their energy from the sun. And the way they do this is plants that capture the sun's energy through photosynthesis. If you remember back when we studied photosynthesis, photosynthesis is when we take 6 carbon dioxide molecules and add some water. So plants need carbon dioxide to breathe in and water, and they need sunlight, that's the energy. And then the plants make glucose, which is a sugar, a simple carbohydrate, and they release the oxygen that we breathe. So this is showing the sun as a source of energy, and that gets captured by the plants. Plants are also known as producers. So again, how the energy is stored, plants are producers, and they use the sun's energy to produce these organic molecules like carbohydrates, and they store the sun's energy in chemical bonds between the atoms. So here we have the energy is stored as sugar, glucose, C6H12O6, and then there's also oxygen getting released. So the next important question is, how does energy move? First, the energy starts off in the sun. The plants capture it through photosynthesis, but then it has to move through the rest of the animals in the ecosystem, and finally to decomposers like worms. Producers is an important vocabulary word to know. Producers are organisms that can store the sun's energy and make their own organic molecules. These are plants. If you look at the bottom right, there's a producer, it's a plant. Consumer are organisms that have to eat something for energy. These are animals. So when we say consumers eat producers to get their energy, it's a fancy way of saying animals eat plants to get their energy. So how does the energy move? So first, energy starts off in the sun. It's captured by producers like grass through photosynthesis. The grass might be eaten by the grasshopper, so the grasshopper gets the energy. Bluebird eats the grasshopper, it gets its energy. The snake eats the bluebird, the owl eats the snake, and then all of these can decompose, so their energy can go to the decomposers. Now, if you notice, underneath there's special vocabulary to know. So producers are the plants that capture the sun's energy. Primary consumers are the first level that eat it. Secondary consumers are next, then tertiary consumers, and then we have apex predators. To go over the vocabulary, these are called trophic levels. Trophic just means to eat. Think about like we call a horse feeding trough. And so trophic is where the horse eats from the trough. So here's the stuff that you need to know. Producers are plants, not pants. Primary consumers are the things that eat the plants. These are also often called herbivores if they eat only plants. Secondary consumers are the thing that eats the plant. So that would be the bluebird. Tertiary consumer eats the secondary consumer. And then the apex predator is at the top of the food chain. Nothing eats it. Finally, we have decomposers. These are similar to mushrooms, worms, flies. A lot of bugs are helpful for decomposing, and they help break down organisms when they're dead so that nutrients can get recycled. Now, what I showed you above here, this is like a food chain because you have a chain of single links where one goes to the next, goes to the next. In reality, you're going to see food webs, and food webs are considered more descriptive than food chains. So if you notice on the right here, we have a food chain, and there's just one energy path, from the grass to the grasshopper to the mouse to the owl. That's a simple food chain. In reality, ecosystems are way more complex than that, and so when we model ecosystems, we largely show them as food webs, where everything is connected. So the grass could be eaten by the grasshopper, but it could also be eaten by the deer or the rabbit. The grasshopper could be eaten by the kangaroo rat or the robin. The robin could also eat the caterpillar, which can get its food from the tree. The owl has many energy sources, the robin, the chipmunk, the rabbit, so does the hawk. The hawk also can eat chipmunks and kangaroo rats. So as you can see, there's so many more relationships. Another really important thing to notice is that the arrows show where the energy goes. So if you notice, the arrow points to what's doing the eating. So the grass is eaten by the grasshopper, so the grass's energy goes up to the grasshopper. The grasshopper is eaten by the mouse, so the grasshopper's energy goes up to the mouse. The mouse is eaten by the owl, so the owl's energy goes up, the mouse's energy goes up to the owl. This is really important for when you all design your own food chains and food webs. So, just showing you this again, we have the sun. Solar energy is captured by the producer, the plant. This chemical energy goes to the primary consumer. When it's eaten, it'll go to the secondary or tertiary consumer, and then all of that organic waste can go to the decomposer in the end. This is a good time for you to take a break from the video and go back to the slides where it asks you to make your own food chain and to make your own food web. What you'll do is you want your food chain to end up looking something like this, where you have the grass on one level, then the grasshopper, then the mouse, then the owl, but next to it you're also going to have these labels where we have producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, and apex predator. So we're going to go up to this slide where it says now make your own food chain. What you're going to do is you're going to move the organisms to create a food chain. Then you're going to draw an arrow to show how the energy flows between each organism. So the beryl cactus captures energy from the sun. So I want to move the beryl cactus so that it's next to the sun. So right here I have the beryl cactus and I have the sun, and they're not next to each other. So I might move my lizard out of the way. I'm going to put the sun next to the beryl cactus. Then it says grasshoppers eat the beryl cactus. So next to my beryl cactus, I want to move the grasshopper. So you're going to be moving organisms around so that you can show all of their relationships. When you're done, you're going to draw an arrow to show how energy flows between each organism. Now if you look up here, you can insert arrows on your Google Slides. So if you go to this slide and you click here, you can insert an arrow. I can draw an arrow from the sun to the beryl cactus. I can go to this one and make it thicker. I like to make the arrows a bright color sometimes. So sometimes I'll choose this and I'll make them orange for energy or red. So I'm going to show that the sun's energy goes into the barrel cactus. Then the next one it says was that the grasshopper eats the barrel cactus. So the next thing I want to do is I want to do an arrow from the barrel cactus to the grasshopper. So I can copy and paste this arrow like that, or I could go up here and I could draw another arrow like this, and then I could make it big again and bright red, maybe not quite so big. So I'm going to rearrange everything and then I'm going to draw all my arrows. The next thing it says is move the label next to the correct organism. So producers, I remember, are plants. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to find where it says producer, and I'm going to take this box and I'm going to move it over so it's next to the barrel cactus because that's the plant. My primary consumer is going to be the grasshopper, so I'm going to find that box and move it over next to the grasshopper. So you're going to be moving things and rearranging them until you're happy with how they look. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to make a food web. Now remember, food webs are really complicated. They look like this one over here. You're going to have a lot of connections if you do it right. On your instructions, it says, make your own food web on the next slide. Move the organisms, just like we did before, to show how the energy flows. Remember to include an arrow. These have a lot of connections. So I have grasshoppers eat the barrel cactus, but rabbits and grasshoppers eat the grass. So I'm going to start making my food web. So above it said that the grasshoppers eat the barrel cactus. So I need to move the barrel cactus right here to be next to the grasshopper. And a lot of times the producers, the plants, will go on the bottom level. So I'm going to move this over and I'm going to have the barrel cactus come down here so it's next to the grasshopper. Now it also said, just up here, that the rabbits and the grasshoppers eat the grass. So I also need the rabbit and the grasshopper to be near the grass. So I'm going to move the grass over here. I'll probably move bacteria out of the way. And then I'm going to start drawing the arrows for the ones I have so far. So if you want to draw an arrow, go up to the top where it says select line and go down to where it says arrow. And remember, you want the arrow to go from what's being eaten to show the energy going up to the thing that's eating it. To make your arrows larger, click on line weight. I like to make them 3 times as big. And then I like to make them bright colors, red or orange, to show the energy flow more easily. Now you can keep drawing arrows over and over. You can click new arrow and draw another arrow. Or you can hit Control Copy and then Control Paste to copy and paste the arrows you already have. And then I'm going to move them to show that the rabbit is also eating the grass. So I have my first 2 steps so far. I'll probably go back up to the earlier slide just to check what my next one is. So it says kangaroo, mice, and rabbits eat the star cactus. So I'll go back here, find the star cactus, and start moving those around too. Good luck with this. You've got it. Let me know if you have questions. You can always reach me by texting via Remind or email, or looking at the email I sent out and finding the links for the video hangouts. You can schedule a video hangout with me and I can walk you through it. When you're done with your food chain and your food web, watch part 2 of this video where you'll learn about trophic pyramids.